are talking about relationships and finding your whole self. Your whole self, y'all. Like literally. Finding your whole self in all types of relationships in your life.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's a brutal.
The next one is intellectual intimacy. Intellectual intimacy.
Wow.
So what are ways to develop intellectual intimacy?
I mean, what we doing right now? Having
Absolutely.
deep conversation. Not surface level.
Yes.
We get in.
We deeper than a kiddie pool over here.
Yeah.
8 feet.
We out in deep.
But yes, I agree. Absolutely. Conversations. I think it's been hard lately because these conversations have not been easy.
No.
But I realized as of late, well, I think we all have noticed, all conversations have been very polarized. And I feel like there's a barrier to intellectual, not just intimacy, but development.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost like ethics and intellectualism is all right here. And there's very firm boundaries in what I ethically believe. And I realize that it's hard not to feel disrespected in exchanging these intellectually intimate conversations.
Yes.
So I'm learning that intellectual intimacy for humans, I'll even go as far as that, it is a work in progress. Because human on human, people are on people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people cannot hear past intentions, I guess.
Okay.
So, but I think we're in a space to where intellectual intimacy is harder to achieve.
Yeah,
at least from my
I
perspective.
absolutely agree,
I agree
with
with
that.
that.
Yeah. And I'll, like you were saying, like for, like, you know, we're people, right? And I definitely think it's harder too because there's almost this aspect of you have to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know? And when people are not, then instead of it being, what can I learn? What can I gain from this? It's almost, well, now I have to hermit crab and then fight my way through this.
Mhm.
So the whole entire mindset has shifted, and more times than none, you're probably self-sabotaging anyway. Like,
Yeah.
you are now in your own way because instead of seeing the good in it, you've only taken the bad out of it. And I think too, some people maybe just have to change, like, almost like their heart posture and their approach to like growth and learning.
Mhm.
Because I realized recently, crazy enough, I was talking to someone, and there's different things. Like, I'm very aware, right? I'm very aware of me. I can definitely call myself out on my own BS and all of that. Like, I have a very good awareness, but there are still times where even when I have the awareness, I'm not so great with like then taking the action to fix whatever it is that I'm aware of.
Mhm.
So the person kept saying about, so you know, blah, 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 but you're not going to get help. And something about him saying the word help every time made me instantly like
Yeah.
it was like a fight mode in me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need help, and I don't know what that is, but we're going to work on that.
That was my face. I was right in there. I'm like, ooh.
I don't need help. Exactly.
Say
I was
again.
like, I don't know what that was, but I was like, okay. But I'm glad that I now caught the awareness of that.
Yeah,
And it's like,
right.
what is that? So let me dive deeper. But like you were just saying, like intellectual, I think sometimes if you're not the smartest person, or like you're having a conversation and now someone is giving you stuff that it's either calling you out or it's teaching you something, but you're not open to receive that teaching and you feel a type of way about it because they're giving more than maybe you are.
Yeah.
I don't know, something happens in the brain where like it goes left, and then
Right.
now there's not that intellectual intimacy at all. So
Yeah, I think it's especially harder now, I think, between genders.
Oh
yes.
my God. Yes.
And I'm going to say every gender. We're not just talking about
Correct.
binary.
Yes.
Yes.
You're talking about every gender. So I think that's interesting because, again, intellectualism and ethics are very closely tied
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
And I think that maybe they're always closely tied,
Yeah.
which they probably are. But I'm learning that even people get fixated on being right.
Yes.
Oh, man.
The fight to be right.
But I have a theory. I really do. And I really think that, you know, when we talk about ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ego is your first line of defense.
Yeah.
It is designed to protect you. Even though you learn, you know, like, oh, I need to overcome this, right? Or we dismiss the ego or whatever we want to call it. But I'm learning that our reputation is a part of that survival. And being wrong is equating to lack of safety.
Yeah.
Like, that's my perspective on it. And I'm realizing when people are so fixated on being right, they don't feel safe somewhere. And that is not my responsibility to heal or fix or to beat a perspective into you or yell it at you.
Right.
Because now I'm understanding the work that, because it's also work I have to do still. There are places that come up in my life where I'm like, I can't be wrong here.
Yeah.
It's unsafe for me to be wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Especially, I think, between genders is as extreme as it is because it has a lot to do with identity.
Yes.
And gender constructs.
Yes.
And what we've known for so long.
Yes.
So for all those things to be challenged, I think is very hard. So I think we're at a high time where we need intellectual intimacy.
Yeah.
But it's been harder, I think, to cultivate in this time.
Absolutely.
It is, especially when you have like access to so many things. You know, like we have a podcast. We are two people that decided we had something to say and it was important and you guys should listen, right? And so it's not so much as like we are right. It's like we have something to say because everybody has a space to say something.
Yeah.
And so with that, like, oh, you are a person with a platform and a camera and all these things, like, okay, you are an expert. You're right. And so, like, a lot of people take that same thought and ideas, regardless of however they interpret it, they're going to go back and they're going to feed it to somebody else. Maybe not even the same way that that thing was fed to them. Right. And then now they're going to hold themselves on this pedestal when it's like, it's really just like my thoughts, my emotions, and like she said, my ethics and my morals, like how I grew up. This is why I think the way I think. There's no such thing as like a group think, you know, and like you have to think on your own.
Yeah,
I was like, well,
I mean, let me rephrase. It is a such thing as a group think, but you don't have to have a group thought. You can think how you want to think, and that's okay. And of course, some things are factual and true, but also how you feel and what you're tied to, that's okay too.
Right.
It's funny you say that because there's another friend who actually wants to be on our show, right?
Yes.
Like they've reached out to me and I have no problem with it, but I literally had to have a conversation. Was like, if I put you on the schedule, I'm telling you right now, these are my issues with you, and I need you to be able to pick up either nonverbal cues or whatever the case may be to know that like it's not okay because we have the conversations all the time, right?
Yes.
We were having the conversations off camera, which is why we brought the to camera.
Yes.
Because let's bring it to the forefront. Let's get other opinions, and right?
Yes.
But I literally had to tell him, I was like, if I bring you on the show, especially depending on what we talk about, if there's relationships or whatever the case may be, we've had these conversations before. I know how you think. I know who you are. And I respect that. I respect your perspective. I respect your mindset around it. I was like, but I need you to realize that when we have these conversations, you get so turned up because it is almost a fight to be right. But it's like, that is your experience. That is how you lived your life. That's where you got all of yours from. That is not somebody else's. So because somebody doesn't agree with you or because somebody has a different perspective or take on it, because that's not their life and that's not how they were raised or their environment, you have to be okay with that. Like, it can't just be, well, no, because, like, then what's the point? This isn't a conversation anymore. Like, what are we doing?
Yes.
and actually brings up the element of safety.
Yeah, exactly.
Because also, you need to be safe on your own.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So, I guess for the sake of a tip, I think intellectual intimacy can be developed by sharing books.
Yeah,
that's good.
I love to read.
Yes. You know, which, have you read all?
No, I have a picture of it on my phone because read it. You saw me. I know. I have to go get it.
Amazon.
All Love?
Yes.
Hey, Amazon.
Look at this.
Yeah.
A Bell Hooks book.
Yes.
There we go. Let's get it.
all about love. But I think that's one of the ways. Also, reading different scholarly articles, and it doesn't have to be reading. You can also listen to podcasts and have different conversations about that. So, I mean, maybe that'll help with that individual who may or may not be coming on. Like,
Correct.
yeah. No, but seriously, like, have this is something I want to talk about. And then set parameters for how that discussion may go.
I ain't got time to be arguing with nobody on my own show. Because I'm going to just say, click, I'm going to hang up.
I'm going to knock this whole ring light over.
Right.
We're going to shut the screen down, okay?
But the one thing I will say is that I will say that I love that I can have a conversation with him like that, though, and be completely honest and blunt and be like, this is how you come across, this is how I see you, and it not be where it's like, it just, I mean, if I lost him as a friend, I guess it wasn't meant to be, so okay, but I didn't, we had these conversations before, and he was like, okay, I do see what you're seeing, I respect that, and I do get it, so, okay, bet, what is kind of the cue to know that I'm turning up, and but that's real, because that's hard a lot of times. I feel like nowadays that's hard. People can't see themselves, and they don't want to see themselves through somebody else's eyes, and like you just said, people can't take feedback, so even that, developing and starting to have real relationships and friendships where I can just be raw and real and honest with people, that's been really important to me, because like I said, I know that I'm not for everybody, and unfortunately I am kind of that friend and that person that is more blunt, straight to the point.
You said unfortunately?
Fortunately?
I guess it's fortunate. I did say unfortunately, because I feel like to other people, it's probably dang, can you pacify me?
No, I just had this conversation. I really think honesty. Okay, I want to say this: honesty without tact is cruelty.
Okay,
that is a quote.
Yes.
Honesty without tact is cruelty. Mm-hmm. I don't think you have that.
Right.
That's the distinction.
Yes.
Right. Sometimes it's more about they want to be pacified about how you perceive them, and that is completely different.
Yeah.
So, just be clear: there are people that are honest, and they will use their honesty as an excuse to be an asshole.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the problem.
There you go. That's very true.
Yep.
That is very true.
And you,
you're
not.
That's not the place I'm coming from at all.
I just want to say.
And with that being said, what she just said about honesty as an asshole, in the same regard, using your intellectual knowledge or conversation to be an asshole. It's we having a conversation. I want to understand your perspective. You should understand my perspective. But you don't have to be an asshole about it, because I don't see what you see.
Correct.
Right. We have totally two different lives.
Right.
We grew up in totally different areas of our lives. So how you see it is how you see it. But just because you don't see it like I see it don't mean I'm wrong.
Right.
This is just my experience.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to check your friends. If you wrong, you wrong. If you need to grow, you need to grow. Right. And don't be mad at the friends that are being honest with you intact.
Correct.
Now if they trying to get at you, then that's different. Right. Check them. But no, you have to be okay with listening to your friends, because they're your friends for a reason. They're your tribe. They want to see you grow. They hopefully love and care about you. So they're bringing these things up to you because they know you could be a better you.
Absolutely.
And check your friend circle. She said that two different forms of check too. She said check, right?
Yeah.
But also check your friend circle.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna be real. If I had a bunch of people around me that were just simply yes men, you're not really my friend. I don't know what wave you think you're riding or whatever the case may be, but I don't want that. I feel like if you don't have any friends in your life who truly can just call you out and tell you how you're showing up or see you or whatever the case may be, are those really your friends? No. Are those the people that you truly need to just be investing all of your time in and with? No. Because what is that doing for you? That's not growing you. That's not propelling you to the next level. And yes, if you're comfortable, cool. But I'm not comfortable with just staying there. So, I would rather have friends around me who are going to be honest and be like, okay, I know you're a little sensitive, so I'm going to put this in a way that maybe you will receive it better. But at the same time, X, Y, and Z, this is what's wrong. Right. So
some people just be narcissistic and they want people to validate them. Jesus. In the ways that they are harming themselves or harming other people. And that's not okay. you have to be mindful of other people. You can't just be out here like, I just want people that's gonna validate me, like that's gonna tell me I look good or tell me I'm perfect and I'm not. Like you shouldn't want those type of people in your life.
Yeah, if you could see the collateral damage, I'm gonna go ahead and say, use that foreshadowing. You can see it. You can see it. Let's be real. You can see it.
What's our next one?
So
we got a whole.
We got two more
going on.
Dang, okay, we got two more. Okay. So the next one is social intimacy. What ways can we develop social intimacy?
I'm gonna be the dumb one over here. What is social intimacy?
I thought the one we just talked about is kind of similar.
Well,
intellectual. Okay,
social is like brunch.
Okay.
Going to parties.
Yes.
Game nights.
Watching movies. Going to parties. Okay,
I like those.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are good. Yeah.
Like, do we have any?
Yeah. Road tripping, going for a coffee date.
Yes.
Okay.
I call them friend dates.
Yes. I love it.
I go on friend dates for sure. And those are a priority.
They are.
So don't think just because I'm with you, cancel a friend date.
I like that.
Unless I'm getting food out. But for the most part, then you move it.
Blew me out. Let's get blowed out. Damn. Cancel that birthday.
Like, where would you like to go?
Caribbean.
Yeah.
That's
that's so real. You saying that though, that's so real about those are important because I will say that I am the friend that y'all already know. You've been seeing in all the episodes. If you didn't make my calendar,
you didn't make my life.
So look, we're working on it this year, but for real, because I will say that I am the friend where a lot of times I am busy. So really, if you didn't make the calendar, it's like, ooh, let's try to do this or let's push it out, and then next thing you know, here we go. 4 months later, I'm like, wow, we still didn't do lunch. Jesus fix it. So it is important to actually make time for your friends and have these friend dates, but also like stick to them.
Yes.
Like commitments are serious, and just as important as the date itself is, committing and actually showing up for it is just as important because the more you break these commitments, the more you are breaking up the friendship, whether you know it or not. And so that's cute to have a date on the calendar, but then if every time we date, we reschedule, we rain check, we do.
Well, I mean, that low key
you don't value my time.
That low key ties into the 5 love languages, which we also teach kids.
I was going to ask you too. Have you read that?
Yes, I read it. And I say kids, really students, right? Y'all young adults. So they don't like it,
Right.
but. Because when I realized for me, quality time and physical touch are very real for me. Mm-hmm. So if I am en route and you cancel,
look,
maybe we got a problem.
Look,
if you
don't turn up on me.
If you don't tell me, look, if I'm already there and you don't call me, you got a good 20 minutes before I'm leaving.
Oh, look.
Like, no, that is very real for me. Like, respecting my time. Because I
look like. That is what respect yourself look like. Yeah.
I take it real personal.
There you go.
Because I feel like, especially, y'all know I live out here in Narnia.
Yeah.
So, if I came out here and y'all was like, podcast, and I done been through the storm and the rain.
Hello.
Right. No.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Right? And then also physical touch. I don't touch me. Mm-hmm. And people were like, well, how is that your love language? Because I don't know you. Mm-hmm. I have to have safety in my relationship with you for you to touch me. Mm-hmm. Don't just think you can touch me.
Right.
And there are other people where they just don't like physical touch.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting because they were like, how'd you score that? And I was like, it's very personal to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
Not everybody should be here.
They shouldn't.
Right. And I had there was an individual that was trying to get at me, and he put his hand on the small of my back, and I was like, please don't touch me.
Yeah, I don't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't like that. We really don't like that, y'all. No. I'm telling you, like women don't like that. It feels very unsafe.
Yeah, only if you
Especially when I don't know you.
If I don't know you,
especially that.
please don't do that.
Especially that. Especially like unless you're trying to move me out the way of a car.
Yeah.
Or like
Safety,
or individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it's for my actual safety,
Yes.
then that's fine. But don't just assume you can touch the small of my back.
Or grab me by my waist.
Yeah.
Like, please.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Let's not do that.
Consent is real.
It's sexy.
All
too.
of it makes you tense.
As a sex educator, as a relationship educator, boundary, consent.
Yeah.
Don't touch me.
Mhm.
Just as simple as can I
Is this
like
yes,
you know
yes,
even a shoulder.
yes.
Can
please.
I like you have to ask people if you can touch them.
Yes, I know, and I know. When we twerk in the club,
Yeah.
it may
Lord have
seem
mercy.
like a bountiful invitation,
Yeah.
but
That's
understand it is not.
Mhm.
That is ancestral.
right.
It is.
That is
though.
an intuitive calling of
Yes.
the music. You
I can't help that when the beat come, my booty just going like that's a natural thing for me. Just like it's natural for some of y'all white people to not have the rhythm. We don't have a choice but to move these hips.
I wasn't gonna call y'all out.
Y'all got the fist pump. We got the hip pump. We got the hip pump.
Y'all are really doing it.
All right.
Saying.
So actually, we looped into the last one, which is how do we develop physical intimacy? And this is the key part without sex.
Wow.
How do we develop physical intimacy without sex?
I don't know if this is one, but like I'm a big communicator.
Okay.
So like for me, I have to be able to like connect with you in that like talkative, like we're connecting emotionally before that physical anything could even happen. So like, I mean, like she was kind of saying like she doesn't like to really be touched, but like if I don't really know you, I don't really want you close to me. So I guess maybe just like the closeness, like if we're sitting on the couch, you know, and we.
No, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about that game night, and she was like,
I did not sit down for hours, right? It's my house.
like,
and
did it?
I told you she hated me in the beginning.
and it's not that. It's not that I hate it. It's just I don't know you, you know, and if I don't know you, I can't feel safe with you. And then it's my home and I have all these people that are unfamiliar to me. Yeah. So it's just very hard for me to let my guard down. So like it's more so it's like if I'm gonna be close to you, if I can sit like this with you, that's good for me. Like that's more physical for me, you know.
And I'm leaning in.
If I don't know you, it's gonna be like we're gonna have a distance. Like like she said, why do you need to touch me? Why do you need to be so close to me? Right. We don't know each other like that.
I think what's interesting is how communication ties into physical intimacy.
Yes.
There's tiers, right? And so I'm gonna even go into the real adult ones.
Come on now. We adults here.
Right.
Ain't no kids on this podcast.
You can communicate what you need to feel emotionally comforted or protected, right?
Yes.
And I guess I'm gonna get real. Some of the best sex I've ever had was tantric. And that without penetration.
Sex.
Okay. So, and I say that we can maybe have a different conversation about that on a different podcast.
They're gonna have to because I don't think they know what tantric sex is.
But I say all that to say communication like plays a large part in physical intimacy.
Yeah.
Because then, like, you need to clearly communicate what your boundaries are.
Yes.
And that ties into physical intimacy. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I would definitely agree with that. Communication. And it's something about, for me, it is something about, like, the mental, like, knowing someone's mental aspect or, like, even, like, touching on, like, the intellectual. Like, if they are smarter than me and they can teach me something that can truly, like, be beneficial to me and whatnot, like I'm automatically more attracted to you. So therefore I'm automatically more like, yes, open to like the physical attraction and all of that. Like absolutely. So yeah.
I'm over here like, it gets the people going.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. So,
And y'all see how she communicated that? I'm gonna get this off.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I said, okay.
Because I mean, I ain't like what?
You see that?
That ain't got no business over there.
No. Okay.
for me, and too, I will say I'm guilty because, like, I've grown up in the family, like, we're huggers, right?
Yeah.
So that is a struggle for me, too, sometimes, because, like, even when I meet new people, like, instantly, I'm just open, right? Like, and not like to say, like, I'm open to any and everybody and everything.
You
but
is.
it's like, I'm just kidding. So, like I said last time, don't listen to her. Like, don't listen to a word she got to say. Don't listen to her.
I'm a mess. I'm really just messy.
That one, that's the problem.
Like,
Don't listen to her. But no, like I am. I'm just more so open, right? Like I'm not the person that, like, yes, I'm very observant, right? So I'm always like watching everything. Like I'll pick up on people's body language and the energies and whatnot. I'm definitely that. But for the most part, like I don't believe that people just show up with ill intent or like to be like a bitch or whatever the case may be, right? So me, like I'm automatically like open and I want people to feel comfortable too, right? So I'm like the instant like, oh, like I'm meeting you and your so and so friend. Hey, nice to meet you. Like I'm like the automatic hugger, and then it's awkward too because there's some people that are like, I guess they're trying to read the room too, so they're like the handshaking, and the minute I say I'm a hugger, they're like, oh, me too. And it's I struggle with that for sure because I'm the hugger, and I know for sure people are not always huggers, and people are not like the physical touch people. So that is something that I have to work on for sure.
well, but it sounds interesting because that sounds like ways you are physically intimate platonic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's like a love language thing for you.
Yeah.
My top two love languages are physical touch and quality time. So yeah, it's quality time one and physical touch two.
Okay.
So yeah,
Mine are physical touch and words of affirmation.
Okay.
So when I was out here, like I like the spice, he was like,
Exactly. I was like, that makes so much sense.
Like, I mean, and I think that's also why it took me so long to kind of be okay with my hair, because like I can look at my hair, I'm like, oh, it's different. What is this? I don't know. Like the validation from my friends. Like I called my best friend immediately. You know, my girlfriend couldn't tell me like, oh, like I heard her say it looked good, but also she did it, and I was kind of like, I'm about to you up, you know, you messed my head up, you know, type of thing. But like the more I started to like open up to my friends and like, hey, look at my hair, is this nice? And then I even went on TikTok and I talked about it because I felt uncomfortable. And so like I was like, well, because I feel uncomfortable, let me make content out of this. You know, let me kind of like take a different approach instead of like wallowing and being kind of like, I'm about to cut my hair off tomorrow. I was like, well, let me just like deal with this right now and move on. And yeah, those things definitely helped me get to a safe space where like, oh, my hair is different. I'm okay with it.
and also you will look good with fake as well.
Thank you.
So just understand you can do no.
Thank you. Oh, see, I love that.
Yeah. Physical touch is important to me. I like holding hands.
Yes.
I love when someone I am close to plays in my hair.
Me too.
This is also me communicating a boundary. Don't be touching. As said by 3 Black women.
Right.
Don't
as I like just said,
even though y'all ain't heard the other ones, so maybe y'all hear it.
And it's 3 different types of hair here, so that lets you know do not touch hair. 4.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. Oh, hello. Boom. Don't touch people's hair.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
So yes, I like that. I like holding hands.
Mm-hmm.
It was very interesting because I realized like I had certain, you know how like do you mind if I use actually you don't mind. So let me do an example. Like in high school, girls would be like, "Oh, let's walk together."
Yes.
And I'd be like, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
It feels so weird. It feels so
I used to walk with my friends like that all the time.
Yeah.
I did not.
I like that either.
I mean, they did it, and I would just. That was before I communicated boundaries.
Right.
And I was just like, okay, I guess we do this. Like, and that's how it felt to me. And
like,
so,
kind of stiff, but
yeah. So I don't necessarily like that, but I realize I like being able to like hold hands with my friend, especially if I'm talking to them in a way that is like, you know, comforting. Yeah, or they need to be comforted. And I will ask, you know, can I hold your hand? Because I realize I think the way we view platonic relationships, even if it's male, female, or however you view it, because we don't know how to do platonic relationships well. We assume everything is romantic. So that's my theory.
I feel like I said that in our last episode
Really?
about, we were talking about just being out and like parties and clubs and whatnot.
Yes.
And I had a little bit of a moment. I went off on people. And I was like, just because somebody walks up to you into the club does not mean they're automatically trying to get at you, right? Just because I feel like girls are a little weird. Like, you want people to approach you. You came and you showed up to show out, but then when people approach you, you got like, how does it make any sense? And at the end of the day, people don't always come at you to come at you. Like, you don't know. Like, we in LA, people think they actresses and models. They just want to network. Please scan my watch. Like,
first of all, scan my watch. Let's be clear. She said think. Y'all are thinking. Y'all actresses and actors and models.
Some of you are, no disrespect, I'm glad you made it. But there's people that come out
and
here.
Also, wherever you are, you made it.
Exactly.
Okay?
I am glad you made it. Shout out
model.
to you. Because a lot of people come to LA and Hollywood trying to make it. And they're really just struggling and not really fulfilling what they came here for. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like,
you see that location dot on that shirt? That was low key where y'all came to get ready.
right over there. I ain't said nothing.
Look, this actually represents Here is Holy, DC Nation. So,
I'm sorry, DC Nation.
No, you're not.
Drop.
But but also I do show out, but also I think it's interesting. Not everybody's going to be interested in you.
Yeah.
I'll also say I show up to show out for me.
Yes, exactly.
And for me, I have to have a certain amount of rapport, because I said rapport. There's a certain amount of rapport, right, that has to occur in order for me to feel safe enough to do certain things with you. There's been very few times where I've danced in the club with strangers. I would much rather dance with my friends.
Yeah. I don't know you.
It's weird when you just come and grab me in the midst of me dancing. That's weird.
Don't come and grab me in the midst of me. That actually sounds like abduction.
Yes.
You literally can catch your elbow to your rib cage. That's really what it's at. Like, stop doing that. Introduce yourself first.
Literally. And it's not, well, they shaking ass. Well, you don't want, no. It's my ass to shake and introduce yourself. As simple as like, hey.
Correct.
Girl.
Yeah. No, correct.
You know?
I want y'all to know I sang the song I Like the Way Your Ass Be Vibrating by Billy Pablo, and they had no idea what
I don't know what that is.
I never heard
but
we're going to have to play it at the end of the show.
Correct.
And we about to be vibrating that ass.
But I think I said that to say. I think what's interesting about, again, platonic dynamics, even if your intention is romantic, for me, platonic, you can show your interest in a way that feels safer. And when I say that, I realize there was I don't think it was a meme. I'm not really a fan of meme education, but some of them do. And it said, if you only respect women you're attracted to, you don't really respect women. And so that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yes.
There's a way in which you approach women that lets me know you don't respect women at all.
Yeah.
And it's also, there are also ways that people can move, because let's not act like misogynoir and misogyny and toxic masculinity are only things that reside in men. Wow. These are also things.
But I came to read you for filth.
I'm just saying. And then people are like, oh, she came out here looking like this, shaking her ass. She deserves what? To be treated.
No.
Like an individual who likes to shake their ass respectfully. In distance.
Yes.
In distance.
An ass that was never meant for you to touch.
Look.
Without consent. See how that goes? But I don't even remember what tangent I was going on. But I'm basically saying
the
boundaries are what they are, no matter where I am, no matter how I'm dressed.
Yes.
no matter how we're dressed. So there's a way that things can be approached where I would still feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's harder in clubs because you gotta yell, right? Like, do you want to dance?
Right.
You know, like that's a little.
Can I dance on you?
You know, that's a little harder. But I promise you, if you just follow someone on Instagram, if you can just ask for somebody's social media handle, I promise you that is a good gateway. And if
Pick
it's
up on
meant-
social
and it's
cues
meant-
too. Like, come on.
Well, look, not everybody is social.
Well, that's true.
social
Let me
media
not
savvy.
say that because that's true.
And
You
also,
got a lot of people on the
there-
spectrum, and that's okay. So I get that.
And there are weak communicators too. Like
Yes.
people struggle with that. So
Yes.
it's a little scary for them. It puts them in a state of like,
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I don't do well. I realize this is actually a funny story, but I didn't realize how traumatized I was because I had my fight or flight systems are kind of off.
Mm.
So there'll be like things that happen to me, and I'm like frozen. I'm just like, did you do that?
Yeah.
Right. So there was this one time. This was years ago. I was in the Target parking lot, and this guy approached me, and he was just telling me, you know, hey girl, I think you're beautiful. Da, da, da. He was like, can I get you to come see my group? And then he takes his finger, he gets sleep out of my eye,
oh no.
and I did not move, y'all. I was like,
He touched your
did he
face.
just get sleep out?
Okay.
Like he legit was like, I'm sorry, let me get that for you.
Yikes.
Complete stranger.
That's not okay.
And I remember telling my brother that, and he was like, bro, you could have got kidnapped. Like, what do you mean his whole hand was in your face? And I was just like, why would somebody do that? Like, I was just so confused
Yeah.
that I didn't move.
Yeah.
And it's just very interesting how, like, just because people don't necessarily move in response to things that you do
Right.
doesn't mean that they're not uncomfortable.
There you go.
Mhm.
And I know I sound very clear and boundary oriented right now. Take the antidepressants. But in general, like it took a minute for me to feel safe enough with my own self to say, this is a boundary for me. And things that are physically intimate are also dancing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And some things just feel different,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, like, let's just be clear about that.
Yeah.
Learn how to do platonic relationships with the orientation or gender that you are attracted to.
Mhm.
Because if you can do that well, then you can do romantic.
Wow.
Okay, and so two things come out of that for me. One is, do you believe that men and women can be just friends, straight platonic friends, with no anything else, never, just literally just friends? That's one.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, and then I'll bring in two.
Well, I'm going to say a little bit more, right? Yes. I'm going to say yes.
Mhm.
I do have male friends. I've never done anything. So that's yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I will also say there are also people who have had relationships with people
Mm-hmm.
who are no longer having sex with each other who can be friends. I believe that. And it doesn't mean that they were never attracted to them ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are relationships that have been intimate that a friendship was birthed out of.
Yeah.
And I think
True.
because we look at everything not just in our perception of what relationships should be and how they should be formed, and also I think we also look at things as far as possession in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, that means they can have you again,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
to me, it's just not how it works.
Right.
People can be nuanced and they're capable of change, and they are also capable of letting a relationship evolve to something different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's just me.
Okay. I love that. Kay, what's your take on that?
I think men and women or different genders can just be friends without any other things. I do think though sometimes with men, I'm not a man, but it just seems like it'll be easier for them to like go against that boundary just because like how they sometimes may show up when they find women attractive, or you might be talking to this person because you do find her attractive and all your friends may be attractive, and you will just maybe do it to all of them if you had the opportunity. But I do think that if you are like a safe person and you understand boundaries, you can totally be friends with a woman without ever having a sexual relationship.
I'm gonna get close.
I love that.
I'm gonna get close. Okay. Hi guys. Hi. So if you are a male, right, and you become friend zoned and you are just biding your time, you are not a real friend.
Ooh.
And you have to ask yourself if you are capable of a real friendship.
Ooh.
Okay, bye.
Look, that drops my facts. That's so real.
That is so real. And that is disgusting, honestly. That's so
Were
very
you
disgusting.
really my friend?
Mhm.
Yes.
Exactly. That's good, because how many men do that? Like, how many they just sit and wait, or they're just the friend until somebody else hurts you, breaks your heart, whatever the
Yes.
case may be, and then so it's I can swoop in
We're
because you're
another
vulnerable
moment.
now.
I've definitely heard that. And it's so frustrating and aggravating. And I mean, I don't think people necessarily mean it when they say it, but more so, oh, like I was waiting on you to be single again.
Mhm.
Like, please don't.
Yeah.
And let's
Exactly.
not get it twisted. Women do it too.
Yeah. There's
So-
a whole toxic song. I can love you better.
Okay.
I can love you better.
That's such a good
than
song.
she can. That's a great song, but I think it's
That's a
low-key
great
toxic
song.
now that I think
Yeah.
about it. I said,
Not low key.
Yeah.
There's nothing low key. And it's very transparently problematic.
That means I'm gonna steal your man.
right, like, I can't wait because,
You
yeah.
remember the way Mary Jane leaned in?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Okay, so my second question is, so obviously people can see these dynamics in relationships, right? And so we can use the club as an example because I literally have examples of this, right?
Yeah.
You know, we go out, we kind of have like a crew of guys, and even if they're not like our best friends, some of them we are closer to than others, right? Like, we're very close with them. And so there are absolutely times where one man is 100% in my peripheral trying to get me, and I see it and I know it, and I'm like, absolutely not. And I find one of my friends that is like my best friend, and they are my safety, right?
Yeah.
I got a best friend like that.
Yes, they are my safety. And the thing is, like, I know in another man's eyes that might not register or make sense to them. That it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, I was just trying to get at you. I was trying to dance with you. Or even if like there's somebody there watching you and they see you dancing with a guy that's one of your friends or whatever, and then it's like, well, now I can't approach her because I must be her man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, the perception. Like, how do you? I don't know. Like,
It kind of goes into like bodily autonomy and possession again.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like how possession is perceived. Yes, it's almost like the thing you use for safety from other men.
Mhm.
It's also the thing that wards off other men.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, which is so
That's
crazy
crazy.
to me.
Yeah, and
But I
that's-
also feel like that just plays into the platonic, because like for me, I can do that and platonically be cool with like these guys, right? Like they're literally like my best friends, and like I hope that like me
Yeah, they're
sliding
guys.
in on and dancing on them doesn't like ward off any girls from them, because I'm not trying to cock block either.
Right.
But it's just a
Right.
matter of like I just needed a moment to protect me,
Right,
and
yeah.
so I'm using you for that moment. But it's strictly platonic. Like I have nothing there. I've had a guy best friend for years, and every time we show up somewhere, literally we could be a whole K and me apart, but because we showed up together, and there's something about our energy and just that the fact that we're best friends, people are always like, "Oh, you guys are together,"
Yeah.
or they have to check in with one of us, like, "Is that your girl?" Or like the girls are staring at me, like trying to figure out if that's my man so they can dance. And I'm like, "Bro, we're friends. I don't want that." Yeah, but that's so weird to me. Like, what?
Yeah.
We can be platonic. I'm like, do other people's brains not register that like you could just have a male friend, you could just have a female friend? Like,
no.
Well,
Really?
and I will also say, I think that's more on the individual, because I think it's regardless of gender orientation. Because I was definitely talking to a friend who recently had an incident where she asked her colleague to pass a protein shake,
Mhm.
and then her wife was on the phone with the person that was handing the shake,
Mhm.
and then the wife was like, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
Like, and then she was like, "Oh, it's my colleague," and then she was like, "I guess that's okay."
Passing a shake.
Child passing a shake.
possession, like you said.
Yeah, it has more
Why are you
to
being so possessive?
do with that, and that has more to do with insecurity.
Mhm.
That has more to do with a lot of things that have less to do with you or us or whoever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mhm.
and I think that has a lot to do with not just my whole self, but how does your identity tie to someone else's?
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, when it's tied, does it mean you're now possessing?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what is that? And when I say that, I am monogamous, but I understand polyamorous relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say I understand it, what I like is how open you have to be for that relationship to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a little open. You have to say the good, the bad, the ugly. If you're doing it in a
Mhm.
very healthy way, that's what that looks like. And I would want polyamory level communication.
Yeah.
And I'm saying ideal polyamory level communication, because people also don't know you can cheat in polyamorous relationship, but that's another thing.
You can.
Absolutely. And that's when something is not communicated, or if a boundary that has been established between the parties is crossed.
Yeah.
That's when cheating can happen. But I would like polyamory level conversation or communication in a monogamous relationship.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, tell me you find your colleague cute. Don't mean you gonna go smash him.
Yeah. Like, why is that
But-
such a problem?
And like, it's just like, let's have these conversations,
Mhm.
because I also want to have enough faith in who I am, who you are, to know it don't mean that we're gonna end,
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean anything less about me.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, this ass is pristine. Probably not going nowhere. But also,
Right? All right.
Listen. She said,
Drop
what
two
she
more
said.
mics.
This ass is pristine. You ain't going nowhere. No, that's real. And like, honestly, like recently, just my new relationship, it's the first time that I practiced those things. Like complete openness, right? Like the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, like yes, I love you because these things, but also like I've noticed X, Y, and Z. And also like let's talk about our feelings, because at the end of the day, I'm in a relationship, but I'm still an individual. I still have feelings and emotions, and I see things, and I'm around things. So it bothers me when people get into relationships and they're like, if somebody's like, oh, you think this person is handsome, or do you look at people, or do you look at girls, or do you like girls' pictures? Like, this is a person first, and it's like, how do you expect this person just to completely change everything about their individuality because they're in a relationship? They still have feelings, they still have eyes, and don't feel insecure when certain things come up. Like, hey, Amanda, can you pass me the shake? And my girlfriend's like right here. Why would she feel insecure? I'm asking for a shake. Like, I didn't say, Amanda, drop it, give me 50. Like,
I didn't say don't drop the eagle on me.
Shake that ass.
It's a lot of people just be insecure in that, you know. It's just like that same thing when people will be in relationships and they post their partner, but they never post their face.
Yo.
Funky Wiz from the Brown family.
Yo.
Wiz Kelly.
Yes.
Like, no, like that's crazy. It's just crazy. Like, it's crazy. Stop being so insecure.
Hey guys, I'm Kay,
I'm Amanda,
and we're your hosts of We Got Ish to Say
an Everyday Vibe
podcast. We just wanted to drop in and say thank you so much for tuning into the show, and we wanted to invite you to our free community.
Hey, an everyday vibe, because y'all know we a vibe.
Period, Amanda. In this community, you have access to other viewers and you get to connect with them, and you also get a free newsletter that gives you updates and shares our affiliate links.
Fire. And on top of that, we've created another level of the community. We realized that when we created this and started things, we wanted to build a community. We wanted to have conversation full of value, tips, tricks, and just help each other out.
Tell
We're
'em, Amanda.
stronger together. So in the subscription community, you get all of what Kay just mentioned. On top of that, you get behind the scenes. Obviously, there's things that are cut out of these interviews. They are way too long. You get us being us in our everyday life. And remember, we're brand owners, so there's photo shoots. You get behind the scenes of photo shoots that we do for our brands and really see what's coming up next.
Damn.
Outside of that, there's also live Q&A sessions with our guests after interviews where you get to ask any other questions that you personally have to go deeper, right? We're trying to grow. We're trying to get out here and be stronger together. So you get to ask them and connect with them so that way you have more resources and you get access to our exclusive offers, secrets that maybe other people don't know, but we're going to drop them for y'all, and so much more.
So much more. Don't miss out to be a part of the paid community because Amanda just listed a ton of stuff. So make sure you guys tap that link below to join our community.
Love you. See you on the other side.
Like, I do think that that's weird, but that's a part, I don't know if that's full insecurity or if that's just knowing that girls are weird. And sometimes people intentionally go after what they know they can't have.
They do.
Like, why are you problematic?
That's in any culture, because I know gay men who only like straight men.
Yes.
That's all I'm talking about it.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I had to register that one. I said,
They
what?
do.
yes,
Yeah.
there are gay men that only like straight men.
And gay people like straight people because they think they can.
Yeah, it's like a power
And
interaction.
it's like a power thing.
There are women that are like that too. Lesbian women who realize I've heard people say, yeah, I've only dated straight women.
Yeah. We just busting y'all up today.
Right in the kisser.
Okay.
Man.
But no, it's real. I really think when you know who you are, that's why your whole self is important.
Yes.
And not just that. Jealousy is a natural emotion. It has more to do with how you respond to jealousy.
Yeah.
And then you have to ask yourself, is what I'm asking this individual rational?
Yeah.
Because don't make other people compensate for your irrationality. That's not fair. But again, that's why your whole self is important. If you know you are trash at paying back money, don't ask for money. If you know you have poor spending habits, maybe you should discuss sharing bank accounts first.
There you go.
Like, there's just so many layers to why you should know these different aspects of who you are. Because it helps with how you relate to others.
Yeah.
And you can also see what's with them. Like, you know what? I think we should do a joint bank account for this, and we should have separate spending accounts.
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of gauge what you need when you understand who you are.
Yes.
And discernment, intuition, all those things are very real. I will quote Mama Angelou: "When people show you who they are, believe them."
Correct.
Okay, and
Correct.
trust that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you know who you are in entirety, that'll be an easier indicator.
I feel like that plays into relationships, in every aspect. Especially because I feel like a lot of people show up in relationships expecting the other person to complete them or to do something for them.
Yes.
But yet they're not a full being themselves. And then when everything keeps going wrong or the same things keep showing up, they never look at the fact that I am the same factor in every single situation. So what do I need to do? Like, I don't know if that's like you can't be alone or maybe you just don't see yourself. I don't know what that is, but that shows up in relationships.
Yeah.
And I guess it could be in friendships and in
Absolutely.
relationships that are not so just platonic and friendship, but
yeah, you're not your whole self. So if you're not your whole self, how can you possibly be like a really good person to have a relationship with? You know, the internal things that you have going on that are conflicting, they're going to seep out. And so if you're trying to fix certain problems in your relationship when stuff comes up, it's always going to be, the fight between you and that person and also the fight between you and you. Because you can't even understand where they're coming from because you have an internal struggle where you can't even just get that for you. So it's going to be a problem.
And I feel like that leads into communication too. Like, you have to be able to communicate that because, like, all of us are growing, right? Like, we're growing people. Hopefully you are, because if you're not, you're already dead. So, like, hopefully you're...
Not the Walking Dead, y'all. She said y'all zombies.
If you are not constantly, like, growing and trying to get uncomfortable,
you are. You're just existing. You're already dead.
What is you doing?
Right, exactly. Yes. So that leads into communication. Now, me, like, I can call myself out and say that I am not great with communication. And I say that because I feel like so many times there's so much going on in my head. There's so many things I want to say. And then if I get interrupted or if you add this, then I went off the other way. And it's like, I didn't get to say this. So, like, I feel like it's as though I'm a poor communicator per se, but I am a great writer. So there have been times where I've literally had to, like, write out all that I'm thinking or feeling or whatever and, like, pass it to the person and be like, here, on your own time, get back to me. Now, that is crazy, right?
No,
that might
it
be
isn't. It isn't. It isn't. That's why journaling is something that you're...
Yeah, I love journaling. So, yeah. But that's communication. So, if you can't communicate that you have... Sorry, y'all. Just breaking the set.
Text message.
Powerful.
Whoever, somebody wrote you a paragraph. That's actually what happened.
Breaking the set.
Yes.
I just feel like if you can't communicate that is a struggle that you have, one, you make the other person in a relationship with you struggle as well.
Yes.
And then two, we can't really bust that up or fix it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that obviously plays into like the whole self. You have to know yourself and be okay with that, because other than that, I guess there's safety in that though, because I would say I don't always feel safe to communicate everything with like the person, whether it's a friendship or the person I'm dating and whatnot. I don't always feel safe to communicate these things, and then it all gets stuffed in and stuffed down, and so now it's just it didn't work. So what are we doing? So I'm like, what are the healthy ways, or I guess the best ways to communicate that? I mean, it might sound bad, but at this point, you gotta stop worrying about what other people think and just fix you. Do what you have to do for you. But to be able to communicate, like, hey, I'm not fully whole. Like, I know that there's certain things that keep coming up, and like, what can I do to fix this? And then I guess you have to be really open to receive that, because that can become hard.
Yeah.
Well, because sometimes understand fixing is incremental.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not gonna be, and I think that's where people fall short. It's almost like they think it takes like 21 days to start a new habit.
Yeah.
So you come out swinging.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you burnt out. Yeah. It's a change.
Yeah.
So I would even suggest small pieces of what needs to be changed, as opposed to all of a sudden you're Prince Charming.
Right.
And that's not who you were.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to also quote Missy Young.
Okay.
And I will not knock anything over. Okay. And I'll not raise my voice. But she said, I'll try to remember the whole thing. My cup runneth over. What's in the cup is for me. What comes out of the cup is for y'all. If I give to you what is in my cup, I make you a thief and I make myself a liar.
Wow.
And I never forgot that.
Wow.
That's deep.
Yeah.
And it's because you make yourself a liar because you were giving something that you don't have.
Yeah.
And you make them a thief because you resent what they've taken.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I think when we talk about things like my whole self, right? And even when you said feeling safe, I'm just dropping all some of the gems are mine and some of them are from other people. But as a former English teacher, we gonna do what it's supposed to be.
Okay, she got you.
Citations.
My former therapist said, you keep looking for safety from people who don't know what safety looks like.
Ooh, yep.
And I think that was the biggest realization I had so I'm responsible for my own safety. And that comes to like parents.
Yes.
Siblings.
Yes.
That's in every relationship. So when we talk about your whole self, I understand I'm trash at money management. And I'm trash because when you struggle, you just see what you want. And when you ain't had nothing, you're like, oh, I want it. And when you want to give, you're like, oh, I want to give it.
Yeah.
But nah, my cup is not overflowed in that area.
Yeah.
So there are things I need to do, right? But I can't give to someone else and then be mad that they took something and then I don't have the money I need for this, this, and this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you do that with the different parts of yourself. So if your social battery doesn't need to be charged, maybe you shouldn't go out.
Right.
You know, if you're, if you don't feel like being touched, just say, you know what, like right now, I'm not in space to be touched. Like when I'm mad, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Like, please don't. because I want to hit you. I won't. But the desire in my body is so visceral.
Right.
That understand I don't want to do that work of calming that part of me down. And I'm saying like it's just in every aspect.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yourself.
And we're gonna run it back because we said a lot of things during this episode. We just want to remind you that this episode is about like finding your whole self and all of the aspects of your life. And so Nikki is going to go back and say exactly all of the different, five different intimacy aspects
of
who you are and how it makes you whole.
Yes.
Get at them, girl.
So that is intellectual, social, emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial. Those are the 5 intimacies.
What's your favorite?
My favorite is probably somewhere between probably intellectual. Because intellectual, well, I'll probably say intellectual, spiritual, somewhere. Because I'm going to be real. Intellectual, spiritual, and emotional kind of like run in the same vein.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Like they feel very closely related.
Yeah.
So, but in order for me to be my curiosity to be piqued as a friend or as a potential relationship, intellectually you have to get me.
You're what is it?
Sapiosexual.
I was trying to say it.
Like,
I'm like, I know the word. The word's not coming out. It's been so long since I used it because I used to use it a lot. And I feel like when I did use it a lot, people used to get scared. Like, what is that? Like, what do you mean? And I'm like, no, it's like I'm just attracted to intellect, and my mind needs to be stimulated in order for me to be attracted to you. And I definitely just completely removed that out of my vocabulary.
I'm glad you did.
Because
they thought you was speaking
hotel, they saying those words like hotel, and what's the one for the woman?
Hoteptures.
Hotel, so
I don't know if that's real.
I don't know if it's real, but that was, I didn't want to be associated with those types of terms. I was just like, I like to be intellectually stimulated, and I have to be intellectually stimulated by my friends and my partners that I'm intimate with. Because if not, then it's like nothing.
Yeah, the hotepture is
real. It is. I didn't want to be no hotep out here.
No, we do not reside on hotep land. So please do not think that is something we do over here.
Amanda, do you have a favorite one?
Mine would definitely be, well, I don't have a one. Mine's definitely in between the spiritual and emotional. Like I said, I think I struggle a little bit in the emotional department, but if I can have the conversation, because like I said, conversation's rough for me. Like I can have a conversation, but I think there's just so much surface level conversation out here. And I get bored easy, so it's like I kind of check out. And so for me, it's those two, because if I can find someone that can almost like challenge that in me, like challenge those emotions and whatnot, but then also we can have a spiritual level conversation, like that draws me in so much quicker, because it's so rare. Like it's so rare, I feel like. So, yeah, those would definitely be my ones.
Yeah, I agree. Me too. Like if I meet somebody and they instantly like pique their curiosity because they know something that I don't know, or I haven't thought about it in that way, I'm instantly like, I want to talk to this person. I want to know more. I'm very curious. So I would say mine are also intellectual and emotional. Spiritual, probably, now. At first, when I was more like in the church, of course, that was like, boom, like we got to have the same type of thought process, Now it's like, I haven't really thought about it that way, because I hold my spirituality so near and dear to me that like, it's kind of like, I don't know. I ain't really thought about it that way, but I guess so, because if I hold it near and dear, it's like, I'm not going to even associate myself with a person that's not on the same spiritual journey as me. If you don't understand my spiritual journey, then it's kind of like, yeah. So yeah, I guess those three would kind of be blended in.
Yeah,
Okay.
they blend for me. What's up?
I was like, is that I won't say deal breaker.
Oh.
Maybe it's a deal breaker in a relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe, but like even like on the platonic and the relationship side, is that a deal breaker or repellent, or maybe just a boundary if someone isn't on the same spiritual,
Oh, we went here.
Damn.
No,
We
so
got to break.
I know.
These are new aspects of myself that I am sharing. And I'm probably the most transparent I've ever been.
Welcome to
On
the
a
podcast.
camera.
And we appreciate that because that's what we want. We want to say space where we can have a conversation.
Yes.
So
But okay, so anything, I want to say anything. I will say how you move in your spiritual beliefs is the deciding factor.
Mhm.
So it's not Christianity itself, right?
Yeah.
I would compare it to like the Book of Eli. Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I never watched it all the way through.
It's amazing.
Okay, I haven't watched it all the way through.
It's really good.
Okay.
But I also don't want to say the premise, but now I have to explain.
Right.
Use a different one. Use a
No,
different
I
one.
got another one.
I got it.
I mean, maybe I can do the perspective of war, right?
Okay.
So we think of how many wars have been fought in the name of Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
and that has more to do with power and control.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are people that are actively striving towards not just Christ, but Christ consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
That's the distinction for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, are you a Christian? Because I'm going to quote someone named, I don't remember her whole name on Instagram, Jasmine something.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a good person in Christianity because you believe you're on some episode of Big Brother?
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. Interesting.
Or are you a good Christian because that's who you are?
Yeah.
And that's what you actually believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the determining factor.
That's so sad. That's sad because there's so many people that I know that are Christian and they are not good people.
But I mean, look.
It makes me sad.
Yeah,
Man.
so that's the deciding.
Okay.
So how are you Christian? How
Yeah.
are you Buddhist?
Yes.
How do you move within
Yes.
and what is your reason? And if you do not reflect, not that you're perfect, and
Mhm.
never not expecting you to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but if you, because I'm being honest, growing up with church trauma, I think the first witches I've ever
Man.
experienced
Man, oh
were my
man.
church folks.
Man.
Talk a lot of shit about the crystal carriers and the sage
Yeah.
bringers, but my goodness, that Jezebel spirit is
Ah!
rampant. Okay,
For real.
Jezebel spirit.
Mhm.
To be clear, but I'm saying that in general, like
Mhm.
how you move within the religion is the deal breaker, not the religion itself.
That's
Gotcha.
good that
Okay.
you broke it down like that because I
Okay.
definitely can. I can relate to that. I can definitely, especially like when you think about people that want the whole like Christian life. They get married, they wait to get married to have sex, they have kids and all these things, and then they find themselves with terrible partners, men that do not care about them, very misogynistic, just like, you're a thing, you're my wife. And they don't necessarily even know what a wife is. They think a wife is a person that's supposed to service them
Right.
in all these ways. And so it's so important that you just broke that down like that, because I feel like, especially in Christianity and other religions that
Islam.
are just, yes, that's like, they want to make sure like, oh, we're tied and equally yoked in that. But at the same time, they are terrible people that you just shouldn't be in relationships with.
Yeah, because I think there's a distinguishing. I always say, even though I'm traditional presenting, I guess that's a nice way.
I'm sorry. I hope we don't lose our Indian view. We said Islam.
No. But what I'm saying is, I said, but it. Look, we are more so talking about not being able to be educated.
Mm-hmm.
There's just certain aspects that, for me, when I said that, there are certain ways that misogyny or being chauvinistic is perpetuated and is justified by religion, and
Yes.
that is just very hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean I believe they're a great Islamic. I don't. Oh my gosh, are we really saying this? I believe they're a great everybody. Okay, but I am like.
No.
And I was gonna say a disclaimer because just like even earlier, like we said, like it's based on our lives, our perceptions, our experiences, and our relationship to something. So we're not saying like, oh, this is fact and these are the hardcore views and whatnot. It's just our experiences that we are expressing. And so feel free, leave a comment, like educate us some more. Like yeah, exactly. Like we want the conversation. So absolutely. But that's what we've seen. And it's unfortunate that if you are someone who is more of like the other side of the spectrum and that is not being showcased, like we want to know that and see that because like it's unfortunate that the angry black woman stereotype, right? Because that's the only thing that's shown on our TVs and on our, that's not all of us. So
Well, usually the issues that I have with Islam reside on Hotep Link. So if you do not even know what that word is, you're probably good.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. You don't even know what a hotep is, don't even worry about it.
Like, so that just to be clear.
It's so funny though because I haven't heard that word in so long. And if, like a few years ago, it was like an ongoing word, like intersectionality.
I'm so dead.
Now we just use toxic and intentional.
Yes.
I'm dead. Toxic and intentional. All right.
Those are the new ones.
Oh my goodness.
Let's make room for intersectionality. Different ways to show up in the world.
No, I only ask that because there are times where like I'm having conversations, right, about like, so me, I very much have heard that like separation, like sometimes elevation requires separation, right? And so I firmly believe that, and I firmly believe like in the word, there are times where it's like people have had to, right, like leave their land. They've had to like turn their back, like, like they literally had to separate from certain things, people, places, whatever, in order to get to like their next calling, their next level, whatever the case may be. And that's very much like, the saying of like, oh, your closest 5 friends, you look at them and I can tell you who you are, right? And then on top of that, look at those 5 because every one of them has another 5 too. So that can make up like who you are, right? And so that's why I asked that. I'm like, and maybe, as I said, maybe it's a form of a boundary too of like who you're spending your time and whatnot with, because I very much have had friends who are like on dating apps, right? And they're like meeting men. It's like they know without a shadow of a doubt, like they are religious, they have a strong relationship with God, the prayer, everything is there. But they'll see somebody on the app and it's like agnostic or atheist or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, like he has this going and that going and like he's super cute and like we had a good conversation. So maybe I can work on that. And like, and maybe that's like a female spirit too. We think we can fix everything or we can change everything. But like you will let that kind of like go. But you know that at the same time, that's going to be a very big deciding factor or an issue that's going to come up later. Say you do move forward. And I think it could be the same thing in friendships. Like I definitely believe that now that I'm really evaluating the people around me and where I'm trying to go and what I'm trying to do, I do have a lot of friends who absolutely know that like I'm religious, I'm into God, I'm in the church, all of that, and they respect it, they know it, they'll make comments about it, like they may ask questions here and there, but not one of them is ever going to really have that conversation with me, not one of them is going to go to church with me, like they're not going to really make the effort to be like into it too or even see. So it's like in that case, like do I set the boundary where it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, like, I can't spend that much time with you because you may be messing up the calling that's on my life? Or do I be like, okay, God, maybe you're using me to be the anchor for my friends to bring this generation of these people into you. So do I stay put? So that's why I was just saying, like, how do you guys navigate that, because
that's a really great that's a very good question. And side note, I would go to church with you. If you ask,
did you see my face?
That's y'all.
I wouldn't mind going to church with you, Amanda. I wouldn't. But that is a very good question because, like you said, it's not just so much as about like, are these people on the same like wavelength as me or doing the same things that I'm doing? But like, are you going to feed me too? Are you going to make sure that I'm good? Right. So that's a very powerful way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
We can ruminate on it. My brain.
Like, first of all, I didn't necessarily
right. Yeah. Exactly. So not y'all.
She didn't though, but that's
I
the
did.
way,
Yeah,
you know.
not sure.
I was actually hanging out with some friends, and okay, let's pray. And I was like, actually, I pray for my food to smell it. And they were like, what? And I was like, I said, God, protect every morsel that passes these lips for the rest of my days.
Mm-hmm.
And then they was like, can you do that? I was like, I thought I could.
Right.
Like,
You thought you pray every day. Oh, you pray over every meal.
You said, where's the rules and regulations?
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
He said, pray without ceasing. Now that's biblical, but I'm gonna also say I think prayer is your language. I think prayer is legit how you exist, how you talk, and how you move. And I think that's why when I talk about other things or religions, it's when those things no longer feel safe. And you justify my lack of safety through your God.
Yes.
And I'm not saying, and I'm saying your God, meaning we don't have the same interpretation.
Right. Yeah.
Like my God don't move like that.
Right.
That's the distinction. And I want to be very clear when it comes to Christianity or Islam or anything like that. It has more to do with my understanding of who my God is. Now, again, not to get all super religious, but that's...
No, and I got you. And that's a struggle, too. I think the labels, like, I mean, people have a problem with every label nowadays, right? Like, we don't like labels anymore. And that's fine. I think that's the way we were, like, taught to understand things. And so now we're kind of busting that up. And so it's busting up some brains. Like, we're confused. But even in that, I think religion is one area where I feel like labels get very scary for sure. Like, they very much bring a thing, because even just in, like, saying, like, Christianity, like, there's times where it's like I stumble. I'm like, yeah, like but it's like Christian comes with so many other things, and it's like that's not necessarily it. Like the church I was raised in, it's Baptist. Yeah, y'all don't even know what Baptist churches are anymore. Yeah, so like, and people don't even know what Baptist churches are anymore, because so many churches have either the Baptist churches have now rebranded themselves, or we're going to churches that are these bigger churches that have no real like denomination.
Sorry, I was running in the cave and I couldn't stop it. Look,
you still go ahead.
Wait, let me put my foot down.
No,
sorry, go ahead.
You're good. But yeah, like they've either rebranded themselves or they just have no denomination at all, because it's very like, come one, come all. And I love that. I absolutely love that, because churches should look like what heaven looked like, right? Like it should be all ages, races, sexes, all this, that, and the other.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the label of it gets very tricky too, because like I said, I grew up in Baptist, but like you don't say like, oh yeah, I'm a Baptist. Don't nobody know what that is. That's just what the churches were called, like Baptist churches. And we just kind of know that the Baptist church probably had a choir and a black priest pastor. Like we don't know what Baptist is. Like just like there's Methodist and there's this, and, but those are just like another, I almost feel like subgroup of like your church. It's not a real like denomination. So then when we lose the labels or whatever the case may be, it's real confusing out here in the streets. Like
I was like so many times.
Yeah, we did.
Like we took so many times.
We did. I was thinking about you when you said that though. Like before, I had thought about that. I think when we first introduced ourselves, you were like, "I'm a Christian," and then you were like, "Hold up!" Like it was like, it was like almost this thing where I didn't really want to say I'm a Christian, because I don't really like this term Christianity, because all of the things that it comes along with it. Yeah. And I just heard a lot of the times that we had conversations, and you would bring up your faith and how it just kind of like made you almost put a wall up a little bit, just because you don't know the type of feedback you're going to get from that. Because like she said, it's the way you show up in your religion or spirituality. If you're showing up, it's like, I am a good Christian woman. And we know what a good Christian woman is. Okay. And so she is though, she's loving, she's loyal, she's faithful. Like, she has favor over her life. She has anointing over her life. She's amazing. So like she is a good Christian woman, and that's okay. It's okay to be those things. And I don't want you to feel like you can't show up in your Christianity or talk about your Christianity, because you can. It's just very unfortunate right now that, like you said, the labels, that we all have. Like I low key don't like saying I'm spiritual. Because in that same
Right.
sense, Christian people are like, oh, so that means you don't believe in God? Oh, that don't mean you don't believe in Jesus? Oh, that means you don't go to church? And it's like, this is why I don't go to your church.
Like, actually, I don't go to church because
Yeah, this is why. Like, all of these things. Like, why is it not okay for me to claim spirituality? There's a lot of Christian people that claim spirituality.
and it has more to do with Christian.
And it has, exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
So-
no,
I know you know what I meant.
Yeah, no,
But also, like, it sucks. Yes, I realized, as I said it, it's the reputation and maybe the safety thing I talked about. And what's interesting, we are in a digital age
Yeah.
where the louder you are, the more you're heard, even if you are wrong.
Don't matter.
And I think the feeling or the angst that you are sensing behind the screen has more to do with how loud things feel.
Yeah.
That things are no longer what they're supposed to be.
Right.
Like, I want to hear the word Christian and feel safe.
Yeah.
I want to hear the word patriot and feel safe.
Right.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, that is not a safe word.
No.
Patriotism,
Scary.
abandon ship.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But there are certain things, the energy behind it, or honestly, even the intent to harm.
Yep.
Or I would even more so say the desire to be the oppressor
Man.
is felt behind those and perpetuated behind those ideologies.
Yeah.
Behind every ideology, even in spirituality, there is definitely some crystal collectors that believe they are better than most. So let's be clear. It is a very very broad spectrum of people who are just waiting on their turn to be empowered. And that's really what they want.
That's man.
And so
We
that is the energy that I'm talking about.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy?
I'm just because this is what it is.
Facts. And it's crazy because the pandemic it brought a lot, right? Pandemic did a lot. And I'm not gonna be like, oh, the pandemic was like it was great, but like, unfortunately, those first 3 months were great.
They were. I was
just-
at home
it's-
chilling.
Look, it has nothing to do with like the pandemic itself. It's just the things that I feel like the pandemic brought to the forefront. So I understand people absolutely lost their life. People lost jobs. It was rough. People went through the ringer, and I get that. I hate that. That is not what we wanted. But I do think it brought a lot of things to the forefront, and I felt like if looked at in a different aspect or used correctly, the pandemic could have been a blessing in disguise for so many people. And I think that's for jobs because one, it showed so many people that like, I know that I've hated my job, but I didn't see a way out of my job.
Right.
Now this is my way out to focus on what I really want to do or my purpose or my entrepreneurial endeavors, whatever the case may be, right? I found another way. Or yes, I hated my job and I hated going in, but like this just proved that I could be remote. So what we doing? Can I challenge you now to why I gotta go back in the office, you know?
Yes.
And same thing for religion, right? I really loved it for religion because I was like, you close the doors of the church? Yes, like, and that sounds crazy, right? As somebody who believes in God and goes to church, but like, well, I don't go. Let me clarify. I don't go to church anymore, y'all, because my church, my home church, I do not attend anymore. My church now has become Transformation Church. It is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am in Los Angeles,
I know
California.
about Transformation Church. I've heard of them.
Love them.
Yeah.
Y'all keep praying for me. I might be moving to Oklahoma. So, but look, California, Oklahoma, it don't work, right? So my church, I attend church online. So, but even in that, I will say, yeah, I do. Yeah, exactly. Virtual church.
Sorry.
But no, that's correct. Yeah.
Keeping up with the conversation.
Exactly. I do go to church. Ooh, y'all saying that too. I'm gonna bring up something later. It don't even have to be on camera, but I'm bringing it up later.
Yeah.
Y'all correct me. Let me know. Church. We closed the doors, right? And for me, I looked at it as yes, only because I do know I've had years of knowing people, having conversation with people who have that church hurt, right? Church people ran people out the church.
Yes.
And church in itself has always just been a building. The people are the church, right? We're supposed to rally together. And I know we use the word community now, but same thing, right? Like it's the people are the church and these buildings are the constructs that we put around it. So we close the doors of that.
that was a blessing in disguise to me, because now it gave so many people an opportunity to go back to church, to re-find God and find Him for themselves. Like, you don't have to worry about man anymore. You don't have to worry about them telling you that you need on stockings. You don't have to worry about the fact that you may have still had on your dress from Saturday. I'm telling, like,
you wearing holy pants in church.
Look, I'm telling you, like, those are the things that like people just came up with in the church, and the mothers looking at you and the ushers.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we
can't
chew
gum in that.
Yes. So people were able to find God for themselves, and now, because I feel like, and honestly, this irks my soul so much. Churches love to be like, oh, this is home. This is your church. This is where you grew up or where you started or whatnot. And it's almost like she said, like a possession type of thing, where they have this hold on you. So then when you start trying to go to other churches to find out where you're really being fed, like not just showing up to church out of routine, but really being fed in your soul, now they're trying to judge you and throw on you, oh, well, you're church hopping. And like, you know what I'm saying? Everything is used against you. And I hate that. So for the pandemic, I was like, well, blessed be to God. Now you can sit on YouTube. You can hop through 18 different services if you want to. But if one of them stood out to you, and now there's a message or there's a series and you're following it and you're growing closer to God and now you're rededicating your life, that is a blessing. That is what God and what the church and what people are supposed to do. Is like bring you to the kingdom. What? So I was like, the pandemic was great, especially the first 3 months when we was in the house. Hey, man, we may have saved some souls.
We don't talk about how much God's love is really demonstrated through the ostracized. In all aspects. God's love really do be demonstrated through those that y'all kicked out.
Yep. It's so
or
true.
Or pushed out.
Yep.
Because that's the thing, too.
Yep.
So I absolutely think that was a beautiful thing. Because...
But again, use correctly.
Because I always say there's a difference between... religion and Christians and Christianity. Yeah. And the only reason I think people do have certain responses is because it has more to do with the people that are out there. Whose loudness triggers that church hurt. Or that lack of safety that you felt. And because people will say, oh, it's because you don't like being corrected. It's like, no. Because also when we talk about corrections and whooping and all that stuff, that was never safe.
Yeah. Right.
Like, so actually, I just feel unsafe. I don't mind correction. You just have to, how are you correcting?
Exactly.
Because if you're correcting through trauma-inducing things, maybe you should reframe how we correct. And
or tearing me down. Yeah. And then throwing the love of Jesus behind it.
And claim it's in the spirit.
Yes, exactly.
And don't prophesy. Like, and when I say don't prophesy, even Paul said, this is me talking. So some of y'all will prophesy and put God's name on it, but that's something else entirely. Clearly, I decided I wanted to be kicked out of the Christian community.
Okay. We took so many twists and turns today, baby. I hope y'all... We had like 3 different episodes in one.
Correct. We definitely had like 3 episodes in one. 3 episodes in one. One last question.
I got you.
So, because you do deal with relationships and you coach people and have all the knowledge, all the gems, I would just, and it's a weird question, but like, do you think mental health affects the relationship or relationship affects the mental health?
Ooh.
Okay.
Well, it's not absolute.
Yeah.
And
that's
honestly,
what I think too.
I think they can even be codependent.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They run parallel, but they also are
They
on
can
their
feed
own.
each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Yikes. That's so scary in these streets. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if you wanted more from that answer.
No. I thought the same thing. I was just like, look, let me just get a professional.
Hey.
Professional.
Hello. All right, guys. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Yes, thank you.
You did an amazing job as our first in-person guest. She dropped a lot of gems on us today about mental health, relationships, all the 5 different intimacies and how they impact your whole self. Like, I've never even heard of that before. I feel like I've thought about it.
I just know how to facilitate. We cite over here.
And thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I feel like I've thought about it in a way, but I've never like really put it out there. Like she just did this whole little game with us. If you're interested in learning more about the 5 different intimacies and how they impact your whole life, please tap in with her. What's your Instagram?
Yeah. Nicopedia_Brown is my IG handle, and it's also my Twitter handle. And I'll also say I do consulting, but also I mainly do it with youth and adults together. So if you have a teen or a young person that you would like to understand boundaries, consent, dating, even elements of sex ed, even abstinence. I'm one of the few that's certified in both sex ed and abstinence. So
wow.
Any spectrum of the relationship experience I can help facilitate with you and a young individual in your life.
And we're gonna have her back. She's gonna be on. We're gonna have a lot of different conversations. This is just I'm not gonna say scratch the surface because we got up in that mud. We down elbow deep. So
we out in the middle of the Atlantic somewhere, but I love it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course,
yes, of course.
We are humble that you came on our show.
Yeah.
But if you did not catch all of her handles, it will all be down below. Don't you worry. We will make sure that you find her and follow her. If you have any other comments, opinions, questions, let us know. You guys know we have this show because we want it to be a conversation, an open forum conversation. We just got real with y'all. Like,
yeah, please
Jesus.
Way louder than I expected.
Don't let us find out y'all slid into the DMs disrespectfully.
Don't jump me.
There's two sides of it. There's 2 sides of us. Kay might be a little nicer than me. It's 2 sides of me. So
I have not met that side, but I am intrigued.
It only comes out in certain times. And that would be one of them. So that's all I'm saying. Other than that, y'all know I'm nice.
I think we talked that ish today.
Yeah, we did talk that ish today. And make sure you guys go over to our Instagram. We got ish to say pod on Instagram. ISH, not shit. We got ish to say pod. Follow us and also drop some messages on our page. We got a lot of movement on there, and we are so grateful for all the new subscribers that we just got. We see y'all. We see y'all. And don't forget to interact with us at the bottom of our videos. Let us know what you want to see, what you want to hear. You know, the type of guests that you want to bring on the show. This show is for you guys. It's all about community.
Absolutely. And in that, don't forget to join the community. The link will be in our Instagram bio. It'll also be at the bottom under here in the details. You can always find me at smile_for_Manda or love.vibes on Instagram. Outside of that, you can find Kay at
I am Sade Brand. I am Sade Brand on Instagram and everydaypeopleworld.com on and Everyday People World on Instagram for my sunglasses brand. Tap in with us, man. Like, this year is about to be amazing. We about to go up. It's about to go down. We are so excited.
Exactly. So stay connected, and we will see y'all on the next episode.